Imagine finding a message on your partner's phone. It's not a graphic photo, and there's no physical affair. It's a coworker, and they've been sharing deep, highly personal secrets about their life. To you, this level of emotional intimacy feels like a profound betrayal, but your partner is genuinely bewildered, spectrum, and couples have to actively map it out if they want their relationship to survive. Looking at this chart, we see where society agrees. A dense cluster of data points lands in the 96 to 98% range. Almost everyone agrees that physical, sexual acts with someone outside the relationship constitute cheating. But physical touch isn't required to reach a consensus. Just behind that, in the 75 to 88% zone, we find behaviors like sexting and sending explicit photos. Digital intimacy is still widely viewed as a severe violation. Then the consensus shatters. As we look at the 40% mark, the data points scatter wildly. This is the gray area. Behaviors like holding hands, going out for a romantic dinner, or sharing personal secrets. Meanwhile, everyday social interactions, brief hugs, or discussing work issues with a colleague safely drop down to a 10% baseline of concern. That leaves this chaotic 40% gray area exposed in the middle. This is exactly where trust breaks down, forcing us to ask why human beings look at the exact same behaviors and see completely different realities. The cheating scale isn't an objective measurement of reality. It's a reflection of the observer, distorted by their own internal psychological filters. The most powerful filter is a person's attachment style. This is your baseline emotional programming, and it actively alters how you perceive a threat to your relationship. When we apply an attachment anxiety filter to the chart, representing people with a deep-seated fear of abandonment, it pushes the data points for those ambiguous behaviors forcefully toward the 100% mark. To them, a shared secret is a severe, immediate threat. Switch that filter to attachment avoidance, representing people who prefer emotional distance, and the visual changes completely. The exact same data points slide sharply to the left, grouping near zero. They dismiss those exact same behaviors as completely harmless. Another major variable is gender dynamics. There's a persistent cultural stereotype that women only care about emotional affairs, while men prioritize physical ones. The data dismantled that idea. Women actually labeled a higher volume of behaviors as cheating across the entire spectrum, maintaining strict boundaries for both physical acts and digital intimacy. Finally, there is the variable of signal strength. The context and the intensity of an action act as a direct multiplier for perceived betrayal. A quick, casual greeting hug barely registers on the scale, but extend that into a lingering, intense embrace, and the signal strength shifts the behavior from harmless to toxic. What a person considers cheating is a highly customized composite score. It's calculated subconsciously from their attachment style, their gender conditioning, and the specific context of the environment. Couples cannot rely on a default, objective definition of cheating because one simply doesn't exist. Operating under these unspoken assumptions about exactly where relationship boundaries lie creates dangerous, invisible tripwires within a relationship. In practice, this means an action that registers as a totally harmless 10% on your internal scale might strike your partner's scale as a devastating 80% violation. Navigating the subjective gray area requires verbal communication before you accidentally wander into it. This requires explicit, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. You have to ask each other, what behaviors actually make you feel uncomfortable, and what does emotional betrayal look like to you? Ultimately, building this mutual emotional safety requires couples to actively communicate and collaborate on their own custom rulebook.